That's that Dunkin' Donuts cold brew, one cream. We're not doing sugar anymore. Microsoft Graph. There's so many folks who are Intune admins, Azure AD admins, M365 in general, not using the graph, not familiar with it. We got to get into it. So we're going to be doing a 6-7 part series. I don't know. I didn't count. But we're going to break it down. We're going to start today. We're going to talk about the Microsoft Graph, an intro to it. We're going to talk about the Explorer, how to authenticate to it, which is the real deal. Stay tuned. Let's start right in with the Microsoft Graph, what it is, how do we get to it, how do we look at it, touch it, do stuff to it. I'm going to open up a browser window right here. It would help if I showed you my screen, I think. Maybe not. Maybe it's better if you picture it. Developer.microsoft.graph.com, right? Best way to describe it is the Microsoft Graph is all the APIs on the back end. Every time you look at Intune, every time you look at Azure, you're looking at users, devices, policies. That's all just a GUI interface around the raw data, like anything else, right? So we're going to hit Graph Explorer. So Microsoft's pretty cool in this respect because they let you actually poke around back here, right, and look at all your data. So first thing we got to do, we're at the Graph Explorer. I do switch it to beta because there's a lot of reasons there. A lot of the developer stuff we do just works better. So I'm going to be switching mine to beta. I'm going to drop a link where you can read more about that. I think more endpoints work in that, right? We do have to sign in. So we're not connected to anything right now. So if I were to go users, run query, oh, look at this sample account. It's giving me some nice sample data. But does this sample data mean anything? It's probably not going to mean much to you. So let's go ahead and sign in. How do we authenticate to the graph? So I recommend doing this as a global administrator because when we sign in, you may be prompted for certain permissions. So definitely you're going to want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and click the little guy here on the right, the little account symbol. I've signed in before, obviously. Groovemaster at rubixdev.com. I am the Groovemaster. That's my GA account. It's got to be cool, right? See my little Rick and Morty banner up there? Don't worry about it. All right, I'm going to sign in. All right, now I'm in my tenant. So now I'm going to get my information. Let me hit run query and see what comes back here. Okay, we should have some of my users. And what are we looking at? We're looking at raw JSON data, but let's look at it from the front end as well. Let's go to aad.portal.azure.com. Same account. I'm going to log in so we can kind of take a look at everything. I'm going to click users here. When I click users, it's giving me that same data just in a nicer looking format. Jesse's here, Luke Skywalker, Rick Jones, I'm here. So if we go back, we're going to see the same thing. So this is an object ID of a user. Okay, you see the name, that's me. Same data about it, the email address, everything associated with it. All these payloads get an object assigned. So let's scroll down a little bit more and see if we can find the next dude. So for Jesse, same thing. He's got his own ID. Okay, we have his name, we have his email account up here, any information I have about him, right? Security identifier, really good stuff. Now, what's the difference between here and just going up here? Well, we're going to get to that because we can do a lot more with that data. We can get more granular information. We can change things that you can't change through here, right? So really good stuff. Now what's interesting, just so you can see how they correlate, I'm going to go ahead and click on Jesse. Check this out. I get this URL, pretty standard. It's showing me his profile. User ID. If you look up here, the URL, look at that user ID. Let's go ahead and open up a notepad. Let's just jot that down. It's good to have a notepad sometimes. It doesn't even have to be Notepad++, right? Let's make a copy of that. So up here in Azure, okay, that's the user ID we see in the URL when we click on Jesse's information. Okay, remember that. 3062. Can you remember the whole thing? If you can, that's amazing. But if I go here, let's look at Jesse's object. ID 3062. So this is how the graph catalogs information. It's the same ID. From Azure to Intune, right? Can I see Intune stuff up here? You absolutely can, right? So the default endpoint is Azure. We're going to hop over. So if you look at this request we're making, we're going to type in device management. The device management node is Intune. So it's not going to really give me anything. It's just, this is my Intune account ID. But now that I'm in device management, I can start seeing all my managed devices. So I'm going to type in managed devices. Well, what's that the equivalent of? Let's hit run. I'm getting more data back. That's great, but I have no idea what the heck it is. So, endpoint.microsoft.com. You know this. That's the Intune endpoint. I come here. I hit devices. All devices. Let me see everything. I don't have a ton in here. 15. These are my Intune managed devices. Well, would you look at this? It's that raw data again. So let's see if we can take a look through here. Let's find a real device. Here we go. Rubix-serial number. Good enough. Rubix-92546. Rubix-92546. Okay? So everything I'm seeing in here, I'm going to see the raw data here. But let's just see the raw data. And this is that device. So we can look at this and get all the same information we would get through Intune, right? So if you take a look here, we're going to just look high level here. The operating system. We're going to take a look at some hardware information, the Azure AD device ID. This is going to become very important later on. Okay, let's look at some stuff. The model, virtual machine, manufacturer, Microsoft Corporation, serial number, total storage space, total free storage space. It's giving me all that stuff. We just took a look at that. Here you go. I have, out of 60 gigs, I have 20 free, something like that. Yep, that's about right. So this is the raw data on the back end. So this is a good start. But what we're going to do next is we're going to start taking what's here and using PowerShell to kind of snap into this. And once we have PowerShell, well, then it's all over.